So guys, today I'm real excited, guys, for this is our third session of the six-figure agent role play when it comes to expireds. Today I want to discuss a little bit about objection handlers, the handful of objections that you're going to get, which is I decided not to sell for now. I'm just going to wait. I'm going to relist with the same agent. I'm not going to use a real estate agent. Those are kind of the bulk of them, right? Or I'm going to rent it out is another one. A lot of times they'll say I'm going to hold off, which is the same thing as I'll wait. Those are it, right? And there's not classes where expired listings are going trying to figure out how to stump Paul first because he's calling him on a Saturday morning. They're just not doing that. You know what I mean? So today, what I want to do is I want to interject a few different objection handlers. Okay, a few different ones. I wrote one in the chat and I'm gonna write two of them. The other one is yeah, so that's the objection handler I want to practice on today. Okay, is if I could bring you an acceptable offer in the next 30 days, could you continue with your moving plans or would it cause a problem for you? Now, when you say the word problem, right? When you say the word problem, that's where your stress comes in. That's where it gets bold and that's where it gets deep, right? And it's but the first sentence there, if I could bring you an acceptable offer, that first sentence is really like, huh, if I could bring you an acceptable, kind of like there's an upswing to it. Does that make sense? There's an upswing to it. If I read it, if I could bring you an acceptable offer in the next 30 days, that doesn't work, right? There's an upswing to your tone, right? So your tone kind of goes upward, right? So, interesting, Paul. If I could bring you an acceptable offer the next 30 days, could you continue with your moving plans or would that cause a problem for you? Or would that cause a problem for you? Okay. And
And I'm sorry,
we're
did
gonna
you want me to reply? I did. I'm
no,
sorry.
no, no, no,
Yeah,
no, no,
okay,
no. No,
okay.
so there's a way you use, thank you, Paul. There's a way you use that. That means I know you're awake. And it's not your AI. There's a way that you can use your words. So, interesting. You're never gonna sell. So think about it this way. It's almost like Columbo. I made you myself. But as Columbo got ready, he was a show back in the days. As he got ready to leave, after he did his interrogation, he was a murder investigator, right? As he got ready to leave, he would say, oh, by the way, and he would ask one other question. And it was usually like a light question, but it was enough to kind of stir them up. So this objection handler is that same thing. This objection handler is meant to grab a bucket of ice, put it over their head for a minute, wake them up so we can have a conversation. If they answered to no to that question, they could not continue with their plans, then that's it. This is like one of the most powerful ones you can do, right? So I'm going to say it again, okay? Oh, I'm never going to sell. I can appreciate that, Kim. Let me ask you, if I could bring you an acceptable offer in the next 30 days, could you continue with your plans or would it be a problem for you? Well, and then their response is, you really think you can sell my house? Or the response is, um, what do you mean, like at my price? Yes, at an acceptable offer, absolutely. Well, I could, but I mean, nothing's selling. And then it usually gets them to calm down. It usually gets them to drop their shoulders. It usually gets them to feel defeated in the moment. Does that make sense? Because what happens is that question between 1 through 4, guys, it's an arm wrestle. All your hangups are going to happen between question 1 and question 4. Until you can get to that question, what do you think stopped your home from selling? What do you think stopped? That is the question you want to get to. Because if you can get to that question, then that's where you know you need to be. In that time, well, I'm calling to see when you plan on interviewing the right agent for the job of selling your home. I'm tired of you guys. I'm done. I'm sick. And you know what? Hey, Kim, I understand. I understand. Let me ask you, if I could bring you an acceptable offer within the next 30 days, could you continue with these plans or would it be a problem for you? In the next 30 days, you think you can sell my house in the next 30 days? Yes. Well, if you sold this home, where would you go next? That's none of your business. I told you I'm not going to sell. You know what? I can appreciate that, CJ. Let me ask you a question. if I can bring an acceptable offer within the next 30 days, could you continue with your moving plans, or would that be a problem for you? Well, I mean, if you think okay, you got my attention. So as I was saying is, how soon do you want to get your house sold? You don't want to go back to, if you sold this home, where we go next? Because that just lit them up, right? So how soon do you want to get your house sold? What do you think stopped your home from selling? Skip that question that pissed them off, right? Go to a few other ones, right? It might have been that trigger, right? Because they don't know how to respond. They don't know how to respond. Then you go back and say, hey, so I'm just curious, where were you planning on going to? Sometimes you got to kind of rephrase it. You know what I mean? And here's another thing I want you guys to realize. You cannot change somebody's mind. You cannot change somebody's mind. And that's where you need to understand you're not changing their mind in the script. That is not the goal. You're trying to get them to make a new decision. Write this down, please. You can't change somebody's mind. Yes, I know we don't use pens anymore. You can't change somebody's mind, but you can get them to make a new decision based on new information. Your goal is to help them. Your goal is to help them identify the most common reasons why it's sold, right? In your process. Actually, let me retrace again. Your goal is to breathe some hope in their plans, to investigate, to do your little desk review, right? To help them kind of realize something maybe they haven't realized before, and give them enough hope to say yes to another meeting with you. Not take a listing. Don't even think about the idea of taking a listing on this call. This is just to interview. There's a whole nother step involved called the pre-qual step, which that's where you're going to say, I'm not even going to go to this appointment. You know, CJ, I thought over this. I thought over our conversations and kind of where it is, and I'm not sure if I'm the right agent for you. Well, what do you mean? Well, I mean, you know, you were adamant with me earlier when saying that you were on the market for 6 months and you didn't get a single offer. And I'm suggesting that you're probably going to have to reintroduce the property at a more acceptable price based on market value, and you're just not willing to budge. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to give you my name. You have my name and number. And you might not go on the appointment. The goal is to be able to generate so many of these appointments. Please write this down. Generate so many of these appointments, because if you generate, you don't have to tolerate. Does this make sense? And I'll take you to that next step. Another script I want you to use today during our role plays. I want you to use that script. I'm going to push back on you, and you're going to use that script. Okay? Another one is, I'm going to ask you a random question, like, how much do you charge? And your response is going to be this. That's exactly
why we need to meet.
Exactly. So, okay. So how much do you charge? That's I'm going to put it in in the chat. That's a good question. Actually, no. You know what? There's two different objections. I'm going to give you three today. I'm going to push on you hard on this thing. That's a good question. That's a good question. And that is the first thing we will talk about. I didn't even plan on talking about this one, but this is good. When we get together. Okay. How much do you charge? That's a great question. That's a good question. And that's the first thing we're going to talk about when we get together. When did you say is a good time for us to meet? Go ahead, please.
Yeah, I don't think I'm getting the chat messages.
Neither am I.
I might not be the only one. Oh, shoot. I swear it just popped up right that second.
No. If you scroll up on top, there's a script there, and there's the, if I could bring you an acceptable offer. You see that?
That's a good question. And this is the first.
Oh, you know what's funny is I think that happens because the Zoom hasn't started yet. I thought I was going to be all like, all prepared. Okay.
Hey, listen,
there you go. How about that?
Yep.
Okay.
Now it's
Okay.
there.
So so you guys get it now? Hey, how much do you charge? That's a good question. Probably should hold on. Sorry guys, just give me a minute here. I've been up since 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock this morning. I'm going to make an adjustment to that really quick. That's a good question. ... I'm glad you brought that up. Okay, you guys get it now? How much do you charge? Hey, that's a great question. I'm glad you brought it up. That's the first thing we're going to talk about when I come out. What do you do? Sell homes? That's a good question. I'm glad you brought that up. That's one of the first things I'll go over when we meet. When did you say that are you available like evenings or mornings? That's when you go for the close. Dude, I don't care where that is. I don't care where that falls. Hey, that's a good question. And I'm glad that you brought that up, right? Which is basically, that's a good question you're acknowledging. I'm glad you brought it up. That's the first thing that we'll talk about when we get together. Now, just curious, what is a good time in morning or afternoons? Okay, you guys get it? So we're gonna use those two scripts right there. Okay, who wants to go first?
I'll go.
Okay, you guys got the script? Do you have the script, or do you need it?
Yeah, I have it.
Okay, well, I'm gonna make it easy for you guys. And
This is the original script you sent last week, right?
Yeah, the one we were using last week.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna put it in the chat if you guys need it.
Yeah.
Actually, you know what I'm gonna do? Here's what I'm gonna do. Thank you guys for I think I worked through most of my technical difficulties from last week. I just need to figure this out here.
I love how you have the 6-figure behind you and on your shirt. How did you do that?
We'll talk about it offline. We'll talk about it
Okay.
offline. How about that?
All right.
Because I really think I got something here, but it's pretty cool, huh? Just trying to do it. And then we're gonna have it for all the different brands that we have. But I'll talk to you about offline if that's okay.
Okay.
You okay with it?
Yep.
Okay, cool. So again, those are your scripts. Whatever you guys got to do, those are your scripts. Okay, who's up? Who said they were up?
I'll go.
Okay,
But
perfect.
now the chat went away. Let's see. I don't see the notes for the chat. Oh, I do. Sorry, never mind. Okay.
No, it's okay.
Okay. Ready? Ring,
Okay,
ring.
I want to say one more thing. My wife said to me, "Honey, I'm this morning, honey, I'm surprised you're not standing up." I don't stand up, guys, because I talk way too fast when I stand up. I have to sit down for that reason. Okay? For you guys when you guys start to do this, you want to be standing up because your energy is better. Okay? Just keep that in mind. Okay, ready? Go. You ring ring, I say hello.
Ring, ring.
Hello.
Hi, is this Joey?
This is Joey.
Hi, Joey. This is Kim Carlson, and I'm calling with eXp Realty. And I'm sure you figured out that your home came up on the computer as expired. And I was calling to find out, when do you plan on interviewing the right agent for the job?
You know what, Kim? I really appreciate your call. I've gotten a lot of calls this morning, and we're just not going to move right now.
I can appreciate that. I know it can be so overwhelming. As soon as it hits expired, you're getting all these agents ringing your phone off the hook. I was just wondering though, if your home would have sold, where were you planning on going?
We were going to go out to Los Angeles.
Okay, what's in Los Angeles?
Oh, it's my sister. My sister's out there, and we're just we don't really have anybody out here. Everybody's kind of moved away, so we wanted to move out there, and yeah. So,
And was anybody affected by the fires?
you know what? Thank God nobody was affected by the fires. Thank you for asking.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, Joey, let me ask you, what do you think stopped your home from selling the last time?
I think it's the market right now. It's really kind of where the rates are right now, and my realtor or my other realtor was telling me that like there's just not a lot of people buying in my price range, you know. And I was just like, I don't understand. It's like we really feel like we got a great property, but it just didn't. We just weren't. We couldn't get anybody to bite. So I think we're just going to take a break right now and just kind of see how things go.
Well, Joey, let me ask you, if I was able to bring you a full price offer within 30 days of me listing your home, would you still like to get to LA?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, well, are you familiar with the techniques that me and my team use to sell homes?
I'm not.
Well, I would love to discuss them with you and the marketing that we do. We actually didn't hit a lull this year for properties not selling, which some agents did. I'm wondering, do you have today at 4 o'clock or Saturday at 10? What works better for you?
Saturday at 10.
And Joey, let me ask you, is it just you or is it you and your wife?
Me and my wife, yeah.
Okay, well, I look forward to meeting you two at Saturday at 10, and I'm gonna go ahead and send you a pre-listing package just to give you a little bit more information of what we'll go over when we meet. And I look forward to helping you guys get to LA, get closer to family, and sell your home
Love it, love it. How did you feel the role play went?
better. I've been practicing. I feel a little bit more
Good,
comfortable.
good, awesome, awesome. Okay.
How do you
Um,
think it went?
I think it went really well. My only challenge is you didn't gather enough information in that role play.
Okay.
Okay. You didn't gather enough, right? And this, it's my fault. Can I tell you why it's my fault? Is because I gave you guys the objection handler and I didn't really explain it clearly to you. That objection handler is designed, Kim, if I'm not in agreement with you and I'm trying to get off the phone with you because I don't want to talk to you.
Okay.
Okay. So that's why that objection handler is used, right? In this case, just continue going through the script. But if I give you what I planned on doing was giving you a serious objection as we got towards the bottom so you can get more reps. But that, if I can sell your house within 30 days, my fault. You did a great job. You rolled through fine, but you didn't really have an idea of how did you pick the last agent? What do they do that you like best? What do they feel they should have done? What are you going to expect, right? All those questions are to gather your intel, right? So you can build rapport and close for the business. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
that's the only thing. Now, keep in mind, after you get the appointment, I say today at 10, hey, you know what? Thank you so much for that. I really appreciate that. I'm just curious. How did you happen to pick that last agent? Because remember, you're
Happy
doing
to have
that
the
question
appointment.
is because you want to wake them up. The arm wrestling is real in this game, guys. I'm telling you. The first 4 questions is where you're going to use that if they're pushing back really hard. I didn't push back hard. I want to get you guys to get your reps in, but I planned on pushing back. I just don't want to tell you when I'm pushing back.
Mhm.
Okay, so that question is designed when I'm trying to cut you off. I'm trying to hang up the phone. You know what? I'm tired of you guys. Hey, you know what? I get it. Let me ask you one last question. We get off the phone. If I could bring you an offer within 30 days, acceptable offer, could you continue with your plans or would it be a problem for you? That's because you're trying to get me off the phone. My fault. Great role play. Questions on that? Anybody have questions on that? Paul, you got a question?
It's not specifically on that. I'm just in my head. I'm still trying to work through some of the pricing, because I know I'm a very concrete person. Like I don't want to look and explore the features of the car if I don't even know where I'm starting at with the price. So if somebody told me, well, I'll bring that up when I talk to, when we get in person. To me, that would still put me more on guard. So I was just trying to workshop through maybe
Now,
something
wait,
to give
are
them.
we talking about the handler? Are we talking about, that's a great question. I'm glad you brought it up.
That's a great question. I'm glad you brought it up.
Okay,
Um,
okay.
and when we get together, that's going to be one of the
Sure.
first things that we talk about.
So here's why you do that, Paul. You're doing that because you don't want to answer objections about listing the property on the Zoom. You want to answer objections about listing the property in person. The objections we're handling right now is about doing what? Setting an appointment. Setting an appointment. What do you charge for commission? 5%. I just lost you. Well, the other guy said 4. Well, how long of a term do you want to list it for? That's a great question, Paul. And I'm really glad that you brought that up. And that's one of the things I'm going to go over when we meet, or that's one of the first things that we'll talk about when we go out there. What do you do to sell homes? Hey, you know what? That's a great question. And I'm glad you brought that up, Paul. And when I get out there, I'm going to give you a detailed description of how I do that. When did you say you have time? Mornings or afternoons?
Right. Would it
Okay.
would it maybe work if you know, to just kind of, you know, help it feel more natural to me? What if I said something, hey, that's a great question. We're going to go over that when we get together, and in that pre-list in that email that I'm going to send you with some extra information, it'll have some details that you can review, and then when we're in person, we can talk exactly about it.
Sure,
Something like
sure.
that.
I,
Yeah.
I'm gonna be okay. I'm gonna be very cautious. I'm gonna be very direct with you guys. The
Mhm.
idea of emailing them a package is a great idea. I would not be talking about it right now
Okay.
because they're gonna take that shit and they're gonna run with it. Why don't you just email me what you do? Why don't you just email me what your pricing is? Why don't you just email me? They're gonna hide behind it, or I'll call you when I call you, right? I think pre-listing packages are great, but I don't believe it right now is when we talk about it. I don't believe that's right now.
Okay. Okay.
I gotta gather way more intel. I want to gather intel. I want to know your dog's name. I want to know why your goldfish died last February. Right. And then when I figure all that out, Paul, then I deserve to ask, I deserve more time. Does that make sense? And I will go through that with our next script, but I would be very cautious in doing that. Right now, it's about building hope, right? Getting them to revisit the idea with you. I'm giving you that script, Paul, is because I don't want you to get in the mindset of addressing listing objections on the phone. It's not going to work, man, unless they're like a vacation property and they live on the other side of the country. Then you're going to be on Zoom, right? You're going to be on Zoom, right? But that is why we do what we do. Does that make sense? You know,
It makes sense. You know, I also got to remember I'm not always talking to people exactly like me. So, you know.
yeah, no, you're right. You're right. And we can talk about that later. We can talk about some of that later and some of the cues there. We could do that. Guys, this 4 weeks, I want to make it intensive. Man, if I could get every one of you to set an appointment, it's a freaking win for me. I want every one of you to set one appointment, at least one appointment on March 1st. And then I'm fired up, man. I gave you a belief in a whole nother way. Okay? Who's up? Paul, trust me, when you do the role plays, it will make sense.
Joey
Okay.
had a question.
Please.
Do you want Paul to go first, or you want me to ask it after?
Let's ask it quick. So I want to get back to our role play. I want to make sure we get plenty of role play. I want to make sure everybody gets a role play in.
So,
Paul, another question. Wait, hold on. Paul, are you good? You good? Okay, cool. Go ahead, CJ.
quick question. So, when that question about commissions pops up, it's just, how much do you charge? Well, I don't want to set an appointment. It's a quick question. I don't want to pay less than, I don't want to pay my agent more than, 2%.
Hey, I could go down another road. I'm just trying to introduce some objections. You want me to answer that? Here's the thing. I'm going to sound, I got a woman on the call and I don't want to be offensive. I'm going to sound sexy as a role play partner because I'm good. Does that make sense? And I don't mean that with arrogance. I've done it thousands of times. Nothing will stump me. And I really mean that. Really, because I've done it over and over and over. It's really difficult, right? If you told me that, tell me, it's just a quick question. Joey, why can't you just tell me how much you charge? Tell me that.
Yeah, Joey, can you just answer that before I set the appointment? I don't want to waste your time.
Hey,
I don't want to pay more than 2%.
You know what, Christopher, I'm really glad that you brought that up. And like I mentioned to you, it's something that we can talk about, but it sounds like it's a stickler for you right now. And I got to tell you, it's just too premature for me to talk about it with you. I'm going to need to go to your home. I'm going to need to walk through your home. I'm going to need to figure out really why it hasn't sold and see how much work it's going to take for me to get it sold for you this time. If it's going to be an easy sale, I'd be willing to negotiate. If it's not going to be an easy sale, I just simply won't. Does that make sense?
Okay.
Boom. Love it.
Because it's a true statement, yes or no. If you go there and it's a freaking laydown, it's a laydown, and they're gonna and you're like, why the hell did it not sell, right? because the marketing remarks on there said seller will sell home subject to finding an approved placement for property. That's why the house didn't sell, but I'm not saying anything about that. They didn't market it correctly. They put too many remarks in the in the agent remarks. You ever seen that agent remarks? Seller will sell property subject to finding a suitable replacement property. Don't ever put that in MLS. Don't ever put that in MLS. Talk about that in your negotiation. That's called do I want a headache? No. Next, please. Right? So, okay. Does that work for you, CJ?
Yep.
The intention behind this is getting the appointment, Paul. The intention behind this is getting the appointment, right? They're going to want to, you know what I mean? So if they want a box, they're like, dude, I'm not trying to box. If I can sell your home within 30 days and bring an acceptable offer, would that be a problem? You know? Would that be a problem? No. Hey, Paul, honestly, if I can speak it to you candidly, I'm not interested in listing properties. I'm interested in selling properties. I really can't send listing agreements to my bill collectors. I tried it before. It doesn't work. And I promise you, Paul, I won't charge you a dime until after you get your check. Is that fair? Sometimes they got to remember, I'm not going to charge you a dime until I get you a check, Paul. Is that okay? Okay, so let's go. Let's go. Let's go to role play. Come on, Paul. Let's go. You're up. I'm appointing you.
All right, no problem, no problem. All right. Remind me of that last sentence though when we're done, so I can write that one down because I do like that. That's a great way to say it.
What's a great way?
And remember, I'm not going to charge you anything until you get your check. Type of statement.
It's so heavy. It's such a heavy objection. I gotta soften it a little bit, Paul. We arm wrestle a little bit. You want to know something, and I wouldn't give you what you wanted because I don't have enough information to give you what you want. But I want you to know something. I'm not here to list properties. I'm here to sell them. Does that make sense?
Makes
And
good sense.
oftentimes I gotta remind clients like yourself, or maybe not that. Maybe don't say it that way. Oftentimes, I just gotta say that I won't charge you $1 until I bring you your check. Matter of fact, you get paid before I do, Paul. Right? I gotta loosen up a little bit. I gotta loosen up a little bit. Okay, go ahead. You go. I'm getting fired up.
Shoot, I didn't review this. All right, ring.
Hello.
Hi, I'm looking for Joey.
This is Joey.
Hey there, Joey. My name is Paul with First Realty Group, and I'm sure you've figured out that your listing is expired. And I was calling to see when do you plan on interviewing the right agent to actually get your house sold?
I've been getting so many calls from you guys today since 7 a.m. And
Wow.
You sound like a nice guy, Paul, but at this point right now, we're going to give a break until spring.
Okay. It's spring. That's good. That's good. The weather will be better. And if you sold the home, where would you end up going there in the spring?
We were actually we were considering going up to a retirement community in Palm Desert.
Nice. I like that. Living, retirement's the goal that we all have. But it seemed like, well, how soon did you want to be there if you had already listed your house a couple months ago?
We were hoping to be there before the holidays. But obviously right now is a bad time to sell and it's going to get busier in spring. So we're just going to kind of hold off and probably do a little more things to the property.
Gotcha. That is very disappointing. You kind of have that idea to get somewhere by the holidays, make some plans. And why did you think that your home didn't sell?
Ask that again, Paul, because that's a powerful question. Ask that again.
Okay, excuse me.
It's okay.
I was reading too hard. Hold on a second.
It's okay. I just want you to slow it down. Slow it down. That's the most powerful question in this whole script.
All right. That is disappointing that you didn't make it there by the holidays. Well, Joey, what do you think stopped your home from selling?
Right now, I think it's just we're asking top dollar for our home, Paul, because I have spent about $200,000 in the backyard, and most of the houses around my area are fixers. you know?
Yeah,
So
okay.
I don't think we found the right buyer that sees the value of the home.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, good properties still have been selling over these last couple months. How did you happen to pick the last agent you listed with?
It was actually a guy who I work with.
Oh, okay. All right. It's nice. You have personal referral. That's great. Someone you know. Well, what did that agent do that you like best?
You know what? He did everything that you guys do. I mean, he's been doing this part-time for about 10 years. We got people to come through the door. We just couldn't get anybody to write an offer for us.
I okay. That's well, so you had some action, but I guess yeah, disappointing to not really get a real offer in there. And well, I don't want to say anything about the other agent. Okay. What do you feel that they should have done?
I don't really feel like he should have done anything. I mean, I think he's done everything he can. I think it's just we just haven't found the right buyer.
Okay, really? So you all right? Well, so they covered everything top to bottom. You think okay? And the from the next agent you choose there, and when you decide to list again, what are you going to expect from them?
I think I'm just going to relist with the same agent.
Okay. All right. Well, have you listening with the same agent? That's great. You already have a relationship with them, but you had kind of mentioned they were part-time. Have you heard of what we do specifically to get homes marketed and sold? We have not experienced a slow time this year.
You know what? I've never heard of you, Paul.
I know. See that I didn't like that one. That didn't feel natural to me. Um, excuse me. All right. Uh, That's all right that you haven't heard of me. We're always, out there marketing ourselves to clients. That's why I'm giving you an active call right now. I would really like to apply for the job of selling your home. And then I could show you the things that we do that make us different from other agents.
I appreciate it, Paul, but I mean, right now, like I said, we're just going to wait off until spring, but I do appreciate your call.
Okay, okay. All right, that sounds great. And I can totally understand that needing a break from this. But what if just by chance I was able to get you an acceptable offer within the next 30 days? Would that be acceptable to you? I shouldn't use acceptable. If I could bring you an acceptable offer in the next 30 days, would you be able to continue with your plans getting down to Palm Desert even before spring? Would that be great?
Read the objection handler, Paul, just as it's written. It's powerful and it's stern. And come with me with authority, Paul. Come with me with authority.
Joey, it sounds great to take a break, but if I could bring you an acceptable offer in the next 30 days, could you continue with your moving plans, or would that cause a problem for you?
I mean, it wouldn't cause a problem. Do you have a buyer?
Now, see, I'm not really sure what to say right there. Should I just say yes? Should I just say the things that we do bring buyers?
Okay. First of all, congratulations. That last script, the way you delivered it was authority. We're getting to some objection handlers now, guys. So we're going to take a little time. We're going to take a little time. Do you have a buyer? The answer to that question is, you know what? That's a great question. I'm glad you brought it up. I don't know if you know, but we are actually one of the top selling real estate companies out here. So we have buyers that are moving in your area constantly. That's what I would say. So back to what I had said prior to you, Paul. If I could bring you an acceptable offer, could you move forward before spring, or would that be, or is that going to be an issue for you? Answer me, Paul. Answer me.
Yeah, well, no, I guess that would work for us. We could get down to Palm Desert before
Sure.
spring.
So let's do this, Paul. Let's set a 15-minute appointment. Let me come through. Let me walk through your home, and let me give you kind of an outline of what we do differently than most agents. And at the end of that conversation, Paul, this is where I'm tying the bow. At the end of that meeting, you'll either decide to list with the other agent. Now watch how he just said that. Or you either decide to list with the other agent. You know, that's literally what I do. There's body language behind it. Or you'll do with most most sellers do is they'll hire a more aggressive agent like myself.
Yeah, see, I like the where, you know, right, we put them into the imagination. What are most people, when you say that, people think of themselves
Yes,
as
yes,
most people.
yes,
So
yes.
yeah.
So great role play, Paul. Great role play. Do not let that stump you. Do not let that get. No, I really mean that. My only feedback for you, very important, CJ, very important, Kim. What I'm about to say right now. Be careful to not affirm things
Yeah.
that are going to be against what you're trying to accomplish.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
when I said to you, I'm thinking about waiting in spring,
Hmm.
you affirmed that idea.
I
So be
did. I
careful
did.
not, and that's
Yeah.
okay. Listen to me. I'm going to tell you why it's happening. You know why it's happening is because you guys feel like you have to fill in the empty space between the questions. I'm telling you, that's exactly what happens. Be really careful of doing that. Get your reps in. Hey, oh, okay. So you're thinking about holding off until spring. So let me ask you, if you sold this home, where will you go next? You don't need to spend too much time there.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Right? And then when I go down and ask for the question, it's like I forgot spring. I forgot spring. I'm not talking about that again. You said it. I didn't make a big deal out of it. You didn't make a big deal out of it. If you sold this home, where would you go next? Right? Boom, 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 boom. Hey, I like to apply for the job of selling your home. Are you familiar with the techniques I use? Paul, I told you already, I'm not going to list my property until spring, and I'm going to use the next agent. So he's bringing it back up, right? You know what? That certainly is an option for you, Paul. But let me ask you a question. I'll even do that on the table sometimes when I'm on the phone. So let me ask you a question. If I could bring you an acceptable offer within the next 30 days, could you continue with your plans before spring, or would that cause a problem for you? Because right now it's an objection, it's not a condition. My wife just my mom just overcome surgery. I can't move her out. She just had surgery like last week. I can't do anything till spring. I can't move her. That's a condition. You're not going to objection that. You know what? I can appreciate that. Make sense?
Yep.
CJ, you up? You ready, man?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can't see you, but I can hear you.
Okay. Sorry, I'm looking at my notes here that I just typed up. Is that
No
going to be an
worries,
issue?
man. Hey, if you don't want to look, if you don't want to be on Zoom, you don't have to right now for this role play. I
No.
just want to engage with you guys as much as I can.
Yeah.
You're getting that set up. Any questions on anything I just said?
No,
Be
sir.
really careful to not have to fill in that empty space. Pauses are really good, Kim. Pauses are really good.
Okay.
If you ask that question and they pause, that's good. That's good. Huh. So you said spring. Let me ask you one more question. If I could bring an acceptable offer within the next 30 days, could you do something before spring, or would that be a problem for you? Would that be a problem for you? Slow it down. Would that be a problem for you? Well, I mean, it wouldn't be a problem. That's what they do. They all chuckle. Well, that wouldn't be a problem. You know? Okay, go ahead, Chris. Let's go. CJ.
Okay.
I'm
Ring,
fired up.
ring. Ring, ring.
Hello.
Hi, I'm looking for Joey.
This is Joey.
Hi, Joey. My name is CJ with Home Smart Eye Care, and I'm just calling to. I'm sorry. Let me start over.
Okay.
My name is CJ with Home Smart Eye Care. I'm sure you figured out the listing that on your home is expired, and I was calling to see when do you plan on interviewing the right agent for the job of selling your home?
You know, I at this point right now, Chris, I think right now my wife and I have just decided to just not sell. And she was going to do remodeling, and then I told her no, let's sell. We need something bigger. And after all this stuff and after frustration, we're just decided not to sell. But I do appreciate your call.
Oh, man, it sounds like you're really frustrated with the whole thing. I mean, just real quick, if you sold the home, where would you go next?
Well, I mean, we were planning on downsizing. Excuse me, we were planning on getting something bigger in Loomis, which is about 40 minutes from here.
Yeah.
But Yeah, I mean, if we don't get our price, here's another very common one. If we don't get our price, just we can't do it.
Moving to a bigger home is certainly exciting. Well, how soon would you want to, move into a bigger home?
I mean, well, we've been on the market since October, which I'm sure you can see on your computer, and here we are February and nothing.
Yes, it's been a couple months. Joey, what do you think stopped the home from selling?
I'm not sure what it is. I'm really honestly, I'm not sure. All my agent kept doing was calling me about price, 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 and I'm like, I reduced the price twice, and I'm like, I'm not doing it anymore.
Wow, two price drops since October. Well, let me ask you this. How did you pick that agent that you listed with?
He's the guy that sold me the house.
Oh, wow, that's great. Helped you find that house. Well, can you tell me what he did that you liked the best about selling your home?
Well, he sent out postcards. He did an open house. Um, he sent out postcards, did an open house, and put it on the computer, sign in the front yard. Yeah, and that's kind of what you guys do.
That sounds like some pretty basic stuff. So let me ask you this. What do you think what do you think he should have done beyond
I
the
would
postcards
say
and the computer and the sign in the front yard?
sell my house.
Really? Well, what would you expect from the next agent you choose?
You know, um, just I need somebody more aggressive. I feel like this guy was a pansy. Seriously. Honestly, I do. It's like he didn't really know how to like take charge. I need somebody. Look, I don't have time. I don't have extra time in my life to teach him how to sell my house. I got two kids. I'm married. I travel a lot. I'm running two businesses. I just need it sold.
I I agree. Have you already chosen the next agent to work with?
No, no, like I mentioned to you, we're just gonna kind of hold off right now and probably remodel it and go from there. Maybe even looking at maybe expanding the property.
I see. Well, if I could bring you an acceptable offer within the next 30 days, could you continue with your moving plans into a bigger home in Loomis, or would that cause a problem for you?
Well, it wouldn't really cause a problem. I mean, you think you could sell my house in 30 days?
Well, I would love to apply for the job of selling your home, and share with you the techniques that I've used to sell homes. What would be a good time to to meet up so I can show you what I do? Do you
What
have
do you what do you
Monday?
well, okay, before we go any further, what do you charge?
That's a great question, Joey. And that's the first thing I'm going to address when we decide to meet.
Oh,
I've
okay.
got some availability on Monday at 4 or Tuesday at 10.
Tuesday at 10 will work.
Great. I will see
Man,
you on Tuesday.
fire. CJ, what do you think about that role play?
It was pretty good. I mean, I really just told myself to my best to stick to the script, don't veer off,
That's it.
um, and and be really intentional with some of the word and the pacing of how I'm delivering the message to the person.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I'm telling you, look, guys, I'm telling you, that is the key. Stick to the script. Because when you are doing this too early on, and look, guys, I get it. I get it. And this is my fault because when we were doing about this at the office and it was an eloquent role play and thinking back, I probably because I'm really good about filling in between the script because I know the script. I know the script. And the faster you internalize the script, please write this down. The faster you internalize the script is where you can listen with the intent to understand versus listening with the intent to reply. It was perfect. What you said was perfect. Huh. Okay. Let me ask you one more question. If I could bring you an offer, acceptable offer within the next 30 days, so you could get that bigger home in Loomis, would that work for you, or would it be a problem? I mean, just like little nuances. You don't even have to do that, but the fact that you did that, it landed even better. It landed even better. Okay.
Hey, Joey,
Uh,
could you repeat that thing that you told us to write down? The intent to reply versus the intent
it's
to.
okay. I took a training by these guys, some NLP masters, and they said there's two different forms of listening. And there's listening with the intent to understand, there's listening with the intent to reply.
Okay.
And I think in relationships, really important, guys, in relationships, I'm guilty of this a lot, is sometimes I'm listening with the intent to reply. As salespeople, we're trying to have the next best thing to say. But I'm here to tell you all, the next best thing to do is listen. And the better you listen, the more you can listen. The better you listen with the intent to understand, the better your response you're going to get. That's why you use it. Tell me more about that. What else? You know, that's why you do that, is because you're trying to listen with the intent to understand versus listen with the intent to reply. You know, sometimes I'll talk to a salesperson, right? And I'm like, yesterday, I was calling for a friend of mine that is looking at a property to rent. Yesterday, he's really shy, doesn't know how to do it, and he goes, Joey, that's a really big house. I don't know. He's very shy. He says, that's a really big house. I don't know if I can afford the utilities. I said, well, why don't you ask him for the utilities? Oh, I didn't think about that. So I said, you want me to do it for you? He said, okay. So I call, and the lady's like, well, we don't have access to that information. Like, we don't really get the bills. And I'm like, hey, no problem. But let me ask you a question. My friend here is very interested in your property, but he's going to be double in size. Can you contact the owner directly and ask the owner for the bills? Well, we don't really do. Do you want to just leave a message for the other guy? I said, I absolutely like to leave a message for the other guy. And then Sophia laughs at me when I say this, is I always end the call with, thank you so much for all your help. Even if they didn't help me. And it's probably not very nice, but I say, thank you so much for your help, right? But the idea was, sometimes people are really good at tap dancing. They're really good at tap dancing around the question, Paul, and I think that might be where you're at, that you're concerning that might be a tap dance. When I say, that's a great question, I'm glad you brought it up. That'd be the first time we talk about. It is sort of a form of it, but most of the time that works, Paul. Listen to me. I'm telling you, 80% of the time, Paul, that's going to work without a freaking hiccup. What do you do to sell homes? That's a great question. You know, and that's one of the first things that we're going to talk about when we meet today. Well, can you just tell me over the phone? Hey, you know what? I can understand why you like an answer to the phone, but really, my presentation is visual. And really, I wouldn't do you any service by trying to tell you over the phone. I want to give you a clear idea of what we do to sell homes. That makes sense? So you might want to, you know what I mean? Now
Right.
listen, here's another powerful one. You know, and I'll give you one more powerful one. And then if you guys want me to do a role play, you guys have any other questions you want to do, we can. But one of the other things that I used to do also was, you know, I look at my sales, you know, and when I was doing this, I was selling anywhere from 30 to 50 homes a year, right? So with those kind of numbers, the average agent sells 4 homes a year. So I would say, you know what? Look, CJ, I said, I don't know if you know, but the average agent sells 3 to 4 homes a year. Are you aware of that? I always use that line. Are you aware of that?
No, I wasn't.
Yeah. Well, my team and I, we sell 10 times the amount of homes. And just so you know, CJ, I'm not saying that to brag. I'm saying that to share with you as we have a process. Does that make sense? And when I want to come out there, part of my process is coming out there, look at your home. Part of my process is for me to understand why your home hasn't sold. part of my process is even discover whether or not I think I can sell it after I come out and look at it. Because
Yeah, I just thought of.
I'd rather turn you down than let you down. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
It's a true statement. True statement.
I just thought of like a not an objection, but a response to an objection. When you were saying, "Hey, can we just do this over the phone?" And I was like thinking, like, well, Joey, I would love to, but I would love to be able to have the same opportunity you gave your previous agent in sharing some information with you. Would that be a fair? A fair.
I don't think
Give me
it's strong.
a fair chance.
I don't think it's strong enough, CJ.
Okay.
I don't think it's strong enough.
Well, what's the response to that then? Can we just do this over the phone? I know you said visual person.
Okay. Can we do this? Okay. You want to do some, we'll just do some objection handling period. Can we do this? We got 4 minutes left. Can we do this over the phone? You know what? I'm glad. That's a good question, CJ. And I'm glad you brought that up. There are some agents that can try to do it at home. They do this part-time and they're kind of winging things. Are you aware that the average agent sells 3 to 4 homes?
No, I wasn't.
Yeah. And a lot of the reasons why they do that is they don't have a thorough approach. Part of me deciding whether or not I'm even going to take business on is I got to come out and look at the home and see what's going to take to sell it. And for me,
Gotcha.
trying to do it over the phone it's not really going to do any justice for you. Does that make sense, CJ? It's way I'm tuning into your radio station, WIFM. What's in it for me? I'm tuning into your station. Okay. Any other objections? Again, I'm saying this stuff because I've had the reps and I've had the reps and I've had the reps and I've had the reps. And when we do our calls on March 1st, okay, I hope you guys show up. When you get on the phone, you're going to be nervous the first time you make a call. Every single time you're going to be nervous the first time you make a call. You get the little butterflies in your stomach. You guys know I'm a big man of faith. And I believe in my heart and wholeheartedly with every fiber of my being, the most important thing I want to do is I want to help the person on the other end of the line. This is not about me getting paid. This is not about me getting paid because I get paid when I deliver a solution to you, Paul. That's when I get paid. If I can't provide a solution to you, Paul, guess what? I ain't getting paid. Yes, and I said ain't, right? I believe when your mindset is about serving, you're given all the right scripts, all the right ideas. Everything gets downloaded to you to serve that individual. I'm telling you, things that come out of my mouth on a call I have never said. And I almost wanted to tell him, dude, can I write that down? That is good. You know what I mean? That is good. And I don't mean that with arrogance. It's like what I needed in that moment came out of my mouth. I wish that happened all the time because sometimes I wish I could grab that word and say, did that word just come out of my mouth? Damn it, I wish it didn't. Does that make sense?
Yep.
So don't overcomplicate it, right? Don't overcomplicate it. The other script was okay. So I'm gonna randomly give you guys objections. We got 2 minutes left. Okay, Kim, this is for you.
Okay.
I'll meet with you, but how much do you charge?
That's a great question. And I'm glad you brought that up. When we meet on Tuesday, that'll be the first thing that I address and go over with you, Joey.
Perfect. Love it. Love it. Hey, Paul, what do you do to sell homes?
I was focused on the commission.
Same
That's what
objection handler, Paul. Same
I'm
objection
so hard.
handler.
All right. Okay. That's a great question. The things that I do to sell homes, see,
Go back to the objection handler, Paul. What do you do to sell homes?
That's a great question. Are you aware that the average agent only sells 3 to 4 homes a year annually? So
go back to the other one. That's a great question. That's a great question. I'm glad you brought it up.
Okay, you just want me to
That's
okay,
it.
go.
That's it. That's it. That's all we're doing. Okay. What do you do to sell
Guys,
homes, Paul? What do you do to sell homes, Paul?
Joey, fantastic question, and I want to go over that in detail when we get together on Tuesday. No, you know what? What am I not? Let me read my thing. Excuse me.
Don't worry. What do you do to sell homes?
Joey, that's a good question. I'm glad you brought that up. And that is the first thing that we're going to talk about when we get together on Tuesday.
Perfect. Perfect. Awesome. So CJ, how long of a listing are you? How long of a now I'm gonna cross my arms. How long of a listing do you want?
That's a great question, Joey. I'd love to address that question once we meet.
Okay, go back to the objection handler. That's a great question. I'm glad you brought it up. Please. How long do you want to list? How long do you, how long of a listing agreement?
That's a great question. That's the first thing we'll address when we, I mean, that's what I have here. That's the first thing
Yeah,
we'll address when we meet.
That's it. That's a great question. I'm glad you brought it up. That'll be
Okay.
the first thing we talk about. Guys, how was today? A little uncomfortable today? Because you had some objection handlers? A little bit more
It
uncomfortable?
was good. It was super good.
Okay.
Yes, we need this. And
Okay.
and also I don't really know CJ, but if you guys, me and Claudia did like 30 minutes on the phone just to practice this morning. If you guys ever want to just role play on the phone real quick for like 20 minutes, I'm down because I'm really practicing this because I'm gonna come out of the gate ready March 1st. Well, I'm gonna start doing it soon.
First of all, Kim, I got to tell you, I am so freaking proud of you
Thank
because you are doing it and I know you're doing it. I know you're putting in the time. And first of all, every one of you did amazing. Paul, you did incredible today. CJ, mic drop, CJ. Incredible today. You guys all did amazing. So I want you to memorize those script objection handlers. Memorize them. But listen, very important. Very important. You only use enough pressure. You only use enough pressure to get it done. So don't use really strong objection handlers unless you need to, Kim, right? Just do the script. As CJ said, that was great, CJ. What'd you do? I just stuck to the script. I just stuck to the script. Okay. Paul, you have a question, then we're going to end.
I did have a quick, okay. So, hey, that's a good question. I'm glad you brought that up. That is the first thing that we're going to talk about when we get together. I'm going to go ahead and make a note on my list for your property so that we make sure to take care of that first thing. Something like that, almost just reinforcing
Yeah,
it maybe
yeah,
feels a little more
yeah.
natural for me. Like I'm giving them the attention and I'm
Sure.
not blowing
So,
them off.
okay.
I don't
So,
know. You gotta internalize it.
Paul, you got to trust me, man. You've been around me long enough. You've been around me long enough. I'm doing this because you're trying to take me in the ring and we're trying to fight this thing out. And until I have a contract in front of you, until I walk through the home, until I've done all this stuff, I am not going to do that. I was literally at a home in Galt, the one that you went to go see. Okay, when I showed them the net, they're like, "We're just going to think about it. We're just going to think about it." And I said, "You know what? I can totally understand this. How about we do this? I'll step away from the table, and I'll go in the car, and then I'll come back, and then you guys can give you guys." I did not. Most people would just get up and leave. Listen, you need to think about it. No worries. Let me get in the car. I'll go in the car. I got some calls I got to return, and I'll come right back.
I love it. I love it.
That's what I did know. But Kim, that's how I was trained. You guys can go spend thousands of dollars doing it, or you can just do what I was trained to do. I'm like, dude, I'm not going out there again. I'm not coming out here again. In my mind, I'm like, I'm not coming out here again. Dude, I delivered it. You don't like the net? That's not my problem. The fact that you don't like the net is not my problem. That's the market. Do you agree? Do you agree? Yes, that's the market. That's the market. Listen, you have to be so good. Man, I wish I would have done this before the 10 o'clock, so I'm getting fired up right now. You have to be so good at your scripts and dialogues to protect your clients from themselves. You are protecting them from themselves. You are protecting them from themselves. As long as you're not selling snake oil, as long as you're not doing this out of selfish ambition, but you're doing this with the heart set to help the individual, that's where you stand. That's where you stand. You're not answering it because you're trying to put me in this freaking whirlwind, and then we're not going to get the appointment. You have to be afraid, Paul, that if you say too much, you're going to rob yourself the opportunity from delivering your message to them. That's why you're doing it, Paul. You're doing it for that reason, not to manipulate. You're doing it because you want to make sure you got a fair shot at doing that. Make sense? If you don't have a fair shot, you're not going to get the chance. And then after we do this, we set some appointments. Our next phase is we're going to dive into pre-qualifying. Where, hey, Paul, it's Joey again. How you doing? Great. Hey, I have a few more questions that I want to ask you before our appointment on Tuesday. Is that okay? Boom. And then we go into a whole nother list of questions, right? Now it's like, hey, Paul, it's Joey. How you doing, man? Because I got my appointment already with you, Hey, Paul, Joey Satariano, thank you so much for taking the opportunity to talk to me today about your home. I really look forward to meeting you on Tuesday. And that's it. Boom. You send them a video, and then you call them and say, hey, I got a few more questions. That's all staged. It's all staged because now you're going to appeal. Okay. Got to have a first date, got to have a second date, and got to have a third date. Right. So, okay, guys.
Thank
See
you,
you guys
Joey.
next week.
All right.
And then
Bye,
we'll
everybody.
be
Appreciate
emailing.
you.
Joey, can you call me after? I want to know about this 6-figure thing behind you.
Okay. Actually, I'll just hang out.
Okay.
Let me hit stop.